cool. Let me pull up the TWAB real quick, and then I will be ready.
Oh my god. Okay, so get this. Remember when Avengers nerfed XP game because players were too overwhelmed and confused by how quickly they were leveling? They just added paid XP boosters to the microtransaction shop.
Well, of course they did.
And they promised before launch they would never have pay-to-win mechanics. Oh my lord. That is not the publicity that game needs right now. That is real bad.
No, that game needs to just die.
It's fine. GameStop finally shipped Metroid Dread like a half an hour ago. I live 10 minutes from the distribution center, and I probably still won't have it until Monday. Very upset.
All right, Josh, are you ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
What if I'd made that face the entire show?
I would see if there was a way we could black out your screen. I would talk to your avatar. I would put your Xbox 360 avatar in place of you.
Oh God. Hey, that avatar's cool. He's got the Halo hand on his shirt, some sunglasses. I think he's.
Oh, never mind. That might be just as bad.
He's either holding a Captain America shield or riding a warthog. I don't remember which one.
Oh, well, both pretty bad options. Never mind. Let's put your Guardian up instead.
That's fair. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am your host, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the Jotun Toten, the Vault Dwelling, Mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, flawless Josh Finney.
God, we haven't broken out the Mayor of the Deepstone Crypt in a hot minute.
I know. I felt like going old school tonight, Josh. You know, just felt like sliding.
You know, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I like that you did that. I like that we went a little old school.
Yeah.
It's good that we're going a little old school because we got to talk about a lot about Forsaken tonight.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
In a week that's not super busy, we expected the TWAB to be a little bit busy, but then Damage comes out yesterday and is like, I'm setting expectations now. It's a baby TWAB. And we're like, but it's the week before Festival of the Lost. How is it a baby TWAB? And then they dropped just out of nowhere, the vaulting news was dropped on us today.
Yeah, I saw
about
that.
Forsaken. Why we were not told this 6 weeks ago, not that it would have really mattered, but why we weren't told this 6 weeks ago baffles me.
What, during the Witch Queen reveal?
During the Witch Queen. Yeah. This wasn't discussed during the Witch Queen. It seems just fucking bizarre to do it now.
This feels like a PlayStation Vita memory card situation.
Oh no! I feel like we're gonna get like a Peter Parker edited video like you did in Far From Home, where it's set to "I Will Always Love You," and it's just gonna be like Forsaken content, and year 4 content at the end. We're just gonna like slip the Vita in there.
Yeah, I played a lot of Destiny on the Vita, by the way, via remote play.
Vita.
That was.
I was on Vita Island for a very long time. I miss my Vita.
That was a terrible way to play Destiny, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude. If it's anything like trying to play on the the backbone.
I think it's worse on the Vita because there's no triggers.
Oh, it's absolutely worse on the Vita, but holy shit, it's pretty bad on the backbone too.
To melee,
get your fingers all cramped. I have fat fingers, guys. Like first-person shooters on the backbone were not made for me.
I'm just saying, meleeing and throwing grenades on the touchscreen, on the front touchscreen, was not
even possible.
It's not a good idea.
No.
And then making sure you tap the right spots on the back of touchpad to launch your
God,
super.
I forgot about the touchpad on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I was gonna say, speaking of controllers, did you order that 20th anniversary Xbox controller today?
Did I order it? No.
Yeah, I did.
Of course you did.
I debated. I told nerd generalist Colonel Panic and I were talking about it in a chat this morning, and I says I'm gonna give it some time. If it comes up on Amazon, I'll order it because I can always cancel it if I decide not to. I like it. It looks like something that should have come out 20 years ago, and that's why I like it, I think.
It's cool. I like the translucent shell.
And I'm also like, I'm fully prepared to cancel it if Halo comes out with an actual controller that's not the Elite controller or the one with the console. I mean, you have to be doing a Halo custom controller.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
If a Master Chief one comes out, I'm buying it instead. Yeah. So I'm prepared to cancel any and all special controllers. Controllers are a sore spot right now because my DualSense stopped working on me, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, y'all have experienced Joy-Con drift. Wait until your right stick starts drifting when you're trying to play, and it's not even drifting. It like full on is like turning me all the way around in fucking Deathloop. Deathloop is unplayable. Deathloop and even Astro's Playroom are completely unplayable.
Yeah, that sounds
it's just like it's
awful.
Drifting me to the right the whole time when I'm supposed to be going to the left, and it's so bad.
Sounds
I can't.
Terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I am not looking forward to the 3-week replacement time to get a new DualSense. But Corey, I have other grievances tonight rather than just controllers.
Yeah, I figured you did.
It starts with Forsaken.
Forsaken.
This is kind of a bizarre content vaulting. I don't really get why the Tangled Shore is being vaulted and not the EDZ.
Why is the EDZ still there? Why?
Dude, listen, I go to the EDZ for one reason. I go to Trossland, and you know what I do? I just shoot the dregs around there to try out new weapons. I swear to fucking God, I have killed the boss under the EDZ, underneath the church that Evrim is in, probably at least 1,000 times, and that's not an exaggeration. I really wish I had a tracker for how many times I've run into that lost sector to do bounties real quick. It's become a game of how many can I do at once.
I mean, that's the EDZ exists for gunsmith bounties now. That's all it exists for.
It really does. It really does. For gunsmith and seasonal crap. It's bad. You need 100 shotgun kills? Well, looks like I'm running the lost sector under the church 3 times. That'll give me 100.
Yeah.
This is an announcement. Again, it kind of came out of nowhere. They didn't save it for the Chwab, which is also really weird. They dropped it on a Chwab day and didn't save it for the Chwab. So the DCV, and I like that they give us a bit of an explanation about how it's kind of impacted the game here at the beginning. Impact of DCV can be seen through Destiny 2 from, and this is a laughable sentence, from very popular new activities such as battlegrounds that have persisted through year 4. When's the last time anybody did a battleground? It was the end of April, right?
I mean, I think a lot of people
did them after Splicer came out, did we?
I mean, I think a lot of people just move on to the next seasonal event, right?
Yeah.
Especially because the Umbral engrams, you can go back to previous seasons to do that.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't cost you anything to do them either. I'm finding that out. So hello, threaded needle grinding.
Yeah.
To innovations that have made the routine experiences of Destiny better for every player. For example, the DCV, Destiny Content Vault, has provided a great deal of technical breathing room that the team has devoted to important improvements to the Destiny experience. Upgrades such as drastically reducing patch response times, improving load speeds, offering quicker access to UI such as your inventory or the map, and others linked directly to the opportunities DCV created for the team. Cool. I like that we get that kind of explanation. I think it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you see that a game like Final Fantasy XIV or ESO run on these consoles and look pretty damn good. But okay, we'll ignore that. We'll ignore that for right now. Following the release of the 30th anniversary celebration in December, Year 5 of Destiny 2 launches on February 22nd with the release of the Witch Queen. In addition to all that brand new content, we're bringing a carefully curated selection of content out of the vault, including a classic raid, 2 PvP maps from Destiny 2, and 1 classic map from the original Destiny. Well, that is not a carefully curated selection. That is the bare fucking minimum, okay? I want to be really clear. If it was carefully curated, you'd be giving me Crota's End as a dungeon. You'd be giving me 2 or 3 Destiny 1 strikes. You'd be giving me the Moon strikes at the very least, right? Because that's a planet that we had in D1. Why do I not have the Taniks and Fogoth strikes in the game?
Especially the Taniks one, since, he may or may not be the boss of the...
fucking wallop him in every expansion. Why do I not have the original ass whoop? I'm just saying. I'm getting very upset about this.
I see
okay?
this. You're
Got
very
the upsetting part.
Josh. You're way more animated tonight than you usually are.
I have not been drinking either. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very hungry now.
What's wrong with you?
The food that I just ate, even though we had a delay going live, the food I just ate is not holding me over.
Mm.
I realized around 7 o'clock that I had not eaten yet today. Like, the last thing I'd eaten was a sandwich at like 11 o'clock.
Mm.
And it's been 8 hours. I got a little hungry. And now I'm getting hangry. I'm getting hangry and angry. I said that I'd been talked off the ledge. It was a lie. I'm still very worked up.
If it makes you feel better, Josh, I had a microwavable breakfast sandwich for breakfast this morning at 5 a.m. And I didn't eat again until 6:30 p.m.
Oh, well, that is a problem. I do love those, but Jimmy Dean doesn't hold me that long. It holds me for like 3 hours.
These aren't even Jimmy Dean. They're the Aldi brand ones.
The Aldi brand ones are pretty damn good.
I mean, you're right. I'm just
enjoy those.
I'm just saying.
Beginning on February 22nd, the Forsaken campaign and the Tangled Shore will enter the DCV. Note, the Dreaming City will continue to be available. Okay, don't have a huge problem with that. I'm tired of looking at the Tangled Shore. Totally agree there. I was tired of it after about a year. I'm definitely tired of it after 3 years.
I was tired of it after Season of the Hunt, for sure.
Oh, God, dude. The amount of times I did that first Wrathborn hunt just because it was the quickest one to do.
Oh, it was awful.
I had that thing down to a 90-second run.
It was awful.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
And I know we've been harping on this for like almost a year now. But goddamn,
fucking sucks.
Those things suck. Those things suck.
Right. I appreciate that it was content I could do solo and didn't need to like matchmake or like go in with a group for.
Right.
But holy God Almighty, they're bad.
Mm.
So don't have a huge problem with the Tangled Shore going away. Okay, fine. I feel like it's largely served its narrative purpose at this point. But again, a little bit baffling that it's going and the EDZ is not.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if anything, the EDZ should have gone first, and maybe we tack the Tangled Shore onto that. It also has some of the best lost sectors, but we're gonna skip past all that. This means the Hollowed Lair is leaving Destiny 2, and that is just by far and away the best consequence, positive or negative, of this news. I never have to see that strike again. I'm tempted to not play it the rest of the season, even though it's up for 6 months as a Nightfall.
That's the one. That's the one where the boss at the end splits into two, right?
No, that's Broodhold. Hollowed Lair is the Fanatic. So he goes through all those stupid immune phases and
gotcha.
Why don't we send like 100 fucking enemies at you? Which, by the way, on a Master Nightfall, not a great experience.
No,
did some of those Eternal and Nerd earlier. The amount of stasis tornadoes being thrown was too high. There was just like pure ice in the back of the arena, I think, because we were all just throwing supers and chucking grenades and throwing stars back there. But I digress, Corey, because that's leaving, and it's the absolute worst strike in the.
Josh is happy again, guys. Josh is happy.
Josh is happy. Yeah, I'm gonna go through a lot of ups and downs in this blog post. It's not a long blog post either, and it's still gonna happen like every paragraph. So while that will be vaulted, along with Year 4 seasonal content. Okay, we knew that was coming. Here's the kicker, including Presage and Harbinger exotic missions. Now, you may be asking yourself, Josh, I need a refresher on what Harbinger and Presage are. Those are Hawkmoon and Dead Man's Tale. Two of the most, if not the two most critically acclaimed pieces of content we got in the last year. Mm-hmm. Heir apparents to, no pun intended, to Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected's missions. Mm-hmm. And these are being taken out after a year.
Gosh, dude, I feel like if you haven't done Presage, especially, like, oh my god, dude, that mission is so cool.
If you haven't done Presage, you're literally missing out on the best piece of content from this year.
Yeah, it's so
Straight
good.
Up.
It's so
You're
good.
missing out on the single best mission I think that they have done all year.
Yeah.
And this isn't a year with, like, I think a lot of highlights. You are missing out. That and Harbinger, I think you're missing out on not just two of the best pieces, but they made those exotic missions. You needed to do them again, not just for like your catalysts. You didn't necessarily have to do your catalysts in there, but because they were random rolled exotics, because there was more story told through the Glycon. Like I ran it again with our friend Ray right before getting on this call, and He's only done it once, and we're trying to get him a Vorpal and a Substance one. I want to get him one of each, and then I want to take him through and get him the
Catalyst.
The Catalyst. Because, God, if it's anything like the Outbreak Catalyst, we're never going to see it again. It's a myth. That thing doesn't exist. I want to make sure that I'm able to get that for him, but to take those out, I think indicates a bit of a bigger problem, because I think you could have easily left those in.
You could, just especially Presage, since it doesn't even take place on the Tangled Shore. It takes place like on a ship in space.
I mean, it doesn't. Same with Presage. Presage takes place in the EDZ. I think you could, or not Presage, Harbinger.
Yeah.
I think you could take both of those, bump the difficulty down a little bit, maybe adjust the end boss in both just a tiny bit, and you could have put those into the Strikes playlist.
Yeah.
Which, as we see later on in this, is an option. Continuing to be the baffling part. So, we understand the unique value of these definitively Destiny experiences are in investigating ways to reprise and create new, exciting, exotic special missions within Destiny for the future. So what this does for me is confirm that we are going to get at least another mission like that within the next year. Because I think I've seen how wildly popular those were. And those are no small feat to build. Right? Like, those are unique instances with unique load-ins and things like that. And I think they're just relieved that they were received so well. But I mean, like, you look at a lot of the exotic quests we've gotten this year. We got these two. The Aegir Scepter quest, I think, left a bit to be desired until you got to the final part where you actually got the gun. I think that part of the mission was really cool, and like the stories that you get about Mara and Uldren throughout it are really awesome. I kind of put that like almost on the same level as like Devil's Ruin was really cool to hear Saint, Osiris, and Shaxx talking together. Yeah. That was really special last year. But I like those. I like the Salvation Script mission. I think that was really cool. I think what Lament means in universe with the storytelling is really, really awesome. Right. And I think if we can keep getting more exotic quests like that rather than them just being handed out to us, I think that means a lot more. Like, we talk all the time about how, like, Gallarhorn was really one of the first missions that did that for us. When it was brought back in Rise of Iron, you had to forge it yourself. And how special that was. You had to go, like, stealth through the Plague Lands, assassinating everything, basically. And then you get to it. You build that's after you've done the Bannerfall mission, which was really cool. You get unlimited ammo for this thing after you've held out long enough while it's being forged. And that is just one of the coolest things. Like, the Iron Lord's theme kick in. There's all these walkers out there, and you're just destroying everything with Gallarhorn. That is one of the singular coolest experiences I've ever had in a Destiny game, in a Bungie game. And that, like, kind of sets the bar for me for an exotic mission, for something that's not a special instance like Outbreak or Whisper or Presage. Like, I want to see more things like that, and I like that they seem to be indicating that they're going to do that here. But I mean, again, there's no promise. Like, I would say at best, you're probably not getting one of those until the second season. I don't think you're going to get one in that first season.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Not with the weapon crafting and with the throne world and the
probably
raid
a new raid and everything. Like, you're not getting one.
Oh yeah,
this is definitely like
we're going to get a pinnacle activity every season. Like, cool. So I would imagine you want to save quests like that, like Presage or Harbinger style quests, for your seasons when you have a dungeon as your main draw instead of a raid. Yeah. Just to kind of keep that content almost even. Like, well, you didn't get a raid, but you got you got a really special exotic mission, and you got a new dungeon. That's a fair trade-off for, well, these other seasons got raids. Let's keep going then. Okay. They say, we're vaulting this because that'll give us space to launch Witch Queen, launch the Throne World, weapon crafting, legendary campaign, glaive weapon, and additional content we have planned for the 4 new seasons. Here is my absolute favorite thing, though. So we noted above the very popular Battlegrounds activity.
It's so funny how they say that.
It's so funny because I've never heard a single person say that.
Is there just a bunch of casual players like that just go and play Battlegrounds for fun? Like,
I don't know. I will say, out of all the seasonal content that I think we've ever gotten, I do think it is the most consistent. I've made the call here on this show, like, hey, these should have just been strikes. Yeah. And it appears now that Bungie has listened. While most of the Year 4 seasonal content will be vaulted, certain content will persist in Year 5, including the Proving Ground Strike. Yeah, that better stay. You can't afford to take any more strikes out of the game. And Battlegrounds activities. Beginning in February, existing Battlegrounds will be combined with strikes into a new Vanguard Operations playlist that will be free for all players. In addition, Warden of Nothing will remain in the game and will be available to all players for free. Lastly, all of Spider's currency exchange functions will be taken over by Master Rahul in the tower when the Tangled Shore is moved into the vault. I actually am really cool with like all of this right here in this paragraph. Vanguard Operations, I think, is going to replace Vanguard Strikes. Cool. Like, Battlegrounds are 3-person activities anyways. There was no reason why those couldn't have been strikes to begin with. So I think that kind of gives you a little bit of padding there, too. I'm curious to know if any of those will ever be given, like, Grandmaster difficulty, because I think those could be really cool if done correctly. I like this, and I like that they specifically say existing Battlegrounds. So that kind of gives credence to, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, that Battlegrounds is ripe to get a new iteration this next year. Because the Keitel storyline isn't over, but maybe it's not even Keitel. Maybe you're helping Keitel on a new offensive fighting the Vex. There's Vex incursions happening across. They're in the Cosmodrome for the first time. They're trying to invade the Throne World or something else. Like, there's 3 destinations for those. And, well, we're just going to take these and we're going to put these into the playlist. If that's a new way to, like, generate more strikes, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
If you want to call them that initially, go for it. Fine. Like, I think they're going to get away from calling them strikes, and calling them operations does seem a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
Because right now, you go into Vanguard and they say, like, oh, well, you can play Battlegrounds and that'll keep your streak going. I'm like, I mean, I'd rather just go run a Vanguard strike and be done with it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go sit in a 20-minute activity, but I do think that's going to inject some much-needed life. That's 3 new activities, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Is there 3 or 4 Battlegrounds? I don't remember.
I think there's 4.
There's 4. So that's 4 more things to be put in that playlist, and Proving Grounds is already in there. So cool. Spider's currency. This should not have taken this long. 3 years is way too long for this to happen. From the minute that we were able to trade materials, we're like, oh, you need to move that to like Banshee or something.
Somewhere some people actually go.
Especially because right now, if you're in a playlist, you can go to the tower, you can go to the helm perfectly fine. You can't go to the Tangled Shore to Spider. That actually kills your streak. I found that out when I was doing trials. It killed my Crucible streak, and I couldn't figure out why. Because I never went to anything else. I went there, and I went to the tower. So, you know, deductions, that's what happens. And I think that's really frustrating for a lot of players to have something like that happen, especially when the reputation system is so new and so raw. Warden of Nothing remaining, cool. We know why that gets to stay. It's in its own instance. Makes sense. The others you spawn into patrol areas. You simply can't keep those. I mean, you can, but you'd have to wall everything off. You'd basically have to be in a dome, which would probably create even more complaints.
Right.
Then you guys couldn't have found somebody better to give it to than Rahul?
I mean, he's got nothing better to do, I guess.
I mean, listen, I try to avoid going to Rahul as much as possible. I don't want to be going up to him every time I need to go get legendary shards and I'm being like, what cipher is this, Guardian? The one where I punch your ass off the tower.
What can I do for you today, Guardian?
You can go jump off the tower near Zavala like the rest of us.
But he'll just resurrect because he has a ghost.
Fortunately. Forsaken campaign will be available for all players from December 7th until it enters the vault in February. That's cool. I like that they specifically say here, this is the chance to relive or to live Forsaken's epic narrative and experience the origins of Uldren before he became Crow. I think that is really important, and I think that hints that Crow is going to continue playing a big part in the story going forward. But this is maybe, for me, this next part may be the best. Because never, ever underestimate Bungie's ability to make a dime off of something. Beginning on December 7th, the Forsaken Pack will be available for purchase and will include access to the Last Wish Trade, the Shattered Throne Dungeon, and access to all of the Forsaken exotics. Forsaken pack will also include 3 Forsaken ciphers that can use to instantly unlock your choice of Forsaken exotics, not including raid and dungeon exotics, via the kiosk in the tower. Everyone who previously purchased Forsaken will automatically own the new pack and will receive the 3 ciphers directly in their inventory. If you already have every Forsaken exotic weapon, those ciphers will be converted to Ascendant shards. Okay, cool. So basically I get 3 golf balls for them doing this.
Neat.
It's good for people like Ray who are lapsed, or people who really skipped a couple of years there, skipped maybe the DLC, but played like base Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to him earlier, and I was like, man, you can get Jotun, you can get La Monarch, you can get Izanagi's Bird and Thorn, Last Word. Like, there's so many good weapons that were in there. Lumina. Bad Juju's not as good anymore, but it's still in there. Truth is in there. Like, that's a great run. Ace of Spades. That's a great run of exotics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably like overall, like in terms of quality throughout all of them, that's probably like near the top.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, I think it's got the best selection of exotics for an actual like base release, and then like its seasonal content after. Like we've had great exotics in every release, but man, it's hard to top that.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm okay with this. So I got 3 golf balls that are going to go straight to my postmaster because I have no room for them. I hope that they're just like held there and I can claim them anytime I want them.
Yeah.
So then they're just going to sit there forever. Cool. I guess the phrasing of this is really funny because I can't believe that anybody thinks that Battlegrounds is a wildly popular activity. Like during the season, sure, it probably was. We were all praising it during the season. We did it here on this show almost every week. It's a great activity, but we started getting tired of it like we do every seasonal activity. It being mixed up into strikes, I think, is a lot better for it and will make me hate it less. But and it makes sense. Unlike you can't throw expunges in there, or overrides. You can't throw overrides. You could probably throw the expunges in, but I don't think there's enough combat in those to justify having those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still personally think at least Presage could be a strike.
Yeah.
With a little bit of adjustment. But I don't know.
If you like just adjusted, like at least even like instead of the jumping puzzle on the outside, like just open the door right there, right? When you land, like even that would shorten it up quite a bit and just, maybe adjust a couple things inside.
I don't think you need to shorten it up. I think you need to adjust like the trash compactor and probably the boss battle a little bit. But other than that, I don't think you need to do anything else.
Yeah, like maybe you don't have the trash compactor. Maybe you just have to like shoot the hole in the floor and go.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really sure. Like maybe I'm just like talking out of my ass here because I really don't want to see that mission go.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's easier to adapt than Harbinger. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a shame that okay, now they got to determine what's like. How are we going to continue to let you earn Deadbands and Hawkmoon? And that's something they talk about in this post is they haven't quite determined how they're going to do that. And I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be vaulting that shit then without a plan.
Right.
Because we saw what happened with the catalyst for Whisper and for Outbreak, and I still don't have those. A year after being promised there would be ways to earn it this year.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bent out of shape over it. Maybe hint, you should throw that shit into the Zur dungeon that we're getting in the loot cave. But what do I know? What do I know?
What do you know, Josh?
I know that we have a TWAB this week. In addition to this, as upset as I am about some of that.
Are we moving on to the TWAB?
Part of it is I am being a little outrageous. But I do think it's time for the Tangled Shore to go bye-bye. My personal feelings about the Dance Club Lost Sector aside, it is definitely time for the Tangled Shore to go away. I also hope it's the beginning of the end of not having to see the Scorn. Because they're only going to be in one destination after this, and God knows I don't go to the Dreaming City unless I have to.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm almost done with the Scorn. Maybe. Hopefully. Who knows? You're getting rid of Hollowed Lair, which is just hands down one of the absolute worst strikes in the game. It's in the top 3. Top 3 just terrible strikes. Terrible strikes. It's like it's up there with Exodus Crash and the Corrupted, and it's really hard to get up there. Like it's actually a really well thought out mission, but I think it would have worked. I think taking down the Fanatic in his Resurgence would have worked so much better as a dungeon.
Yeah.
It just feels really weird for it to be a strike. Like, it is, I don't know. The immune phases bother me too. Like, I get why they do them, but the immune phases bother me. It's just, there's a lot of just rough parts when you're doing that as a Nightfall.
Yeah.
But hey, I did it on Master. Maybe I'll attempt to run a Grandmaster this weekend on it.
Do it. Then I can call you the flawless Grandmaster.
Jesus Christ. Let's take a trip to the Schwab though.
The TWAB.
Schwab. There really is not a whole lot on here, thank God. It cracks me up because we all expected this to be the big Festival of the Lost reveal. They usually reveal that stuff several days out. They have told us we will not see it until Tuesday now. So it's clear to me it is coming in hot. Because it literally says Festival of the Lost is making its debut. While we don't have a full reveal, we have a Ghost Shell preview below. This is a pretty, I will say, if you go and read this is there's an interview with the designer of the Ghost Shell. It's really cool. It is very, very obviously influenced by Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And it's part of their diversity and representation inclusion initiative. So I really like that. I think that's cool.
Very cool.
And it's a collaboration with an outside artist, Luis Yepes. He talks about all this. It's really cool. He talks about being a big Destiny fan and like how he became an artist, how his art influences what he does and things like that. And he was approached by Bungie themselves. They had seen some of his art. Some of the art directors had seen it and really liked it. And they asked if he would contribute to the festival with the design work, with some of his design work. And there's a full breakdown into how he decided to how to design it, what he drew inspiration from, etc. It's really, really cool.
It's a really pretty ghost.
It's a really pretty ghost. It'll be available for both silver and bright dust. I may pick this one up just to have it in my inventory. I don't know if I would use it because I have so many ghost shells as it is, but I would get this just to have it in my collections.
Yeah.
Other than that, the main thing we've got in here, we've got a handful of patch notes. This is a really quick week, frankly. There are a lot of changes to the Corrupted Strike. Specifically, I had this problem a few weeks ago when I was running it. I could not figure out what champion I was missing. And it turns out, during the Ogre encounter, so when you fight the Ogre in the real world and in the Ascendant Plane, there is a Phalanx champion that spawns in there, an Unstoppable, when the Ogre reaches 50% health. Their exact notes, and I want to read these word for word. That champion was easy to miss, and you couldn't backtrack there to defeat it once you killed the Ogre. After this champion ruined hundreds of platinum, I think it was more like hundreds of thousands of platinum completion attempts, we've snapped it out of existence. It's gone. Dust. Destroyed. It will never see the light of day again. That's what it deserves. I appreciate seeing that. Because I ran about 4 or 5 of those in a row and could not figure out how I was not getting platinum. And it's insanely irritating. It's already an annoying enough strike.
Yeah.
And then to have, like, it's something that on a higher difficulty can easily take you 25, 30 minutes to get through. That's if you don't wipe.
Right.
So just thank God that was finally fixed. My favorite personal fix of the week is for Grandmasters, and all this is going live on Tuesday morning. Increased drop chance for an Adept Nightfall weapon from a Platinum Grandmaster Nightfall to 100%. This will not guarantee perfect perk combinations on every drop. Players may now expect to receive an Adept reward when overcoming the challenge of Grandmasters, even on the hardest of weeks. Good. We've had way too many friends who we have done Grandmasters with who have not gotten Adept weapons at the end of their runs. And there's nothing more demoralizing than 35, 40 minutes down the tubes on a Grandmaster and you not getting an adequate reward for it.
Right.
Or just getting enhancement cores or a couple of prisms. Like, I'm there for the weapons at that point.
Yeah.
Getting golf balls and prisms is cool, but I'm there for Adept weapons. I'm there for Adept mods. And it feels really bad not getting some of that. So, like, I personally have had that happen to me several times. And it makes you not want to go do Grandmasters. Like, why should I bang all these out and try, especially on the hard ones? Like, why would I not wait for Lake of Shadows or for Inverted Spire to roll around?
Right.
I'm going to wait for those because at least then, like, I've got that down to a science. I can do that Grandmaster in about 20 minutes.
Right.
Like, Now, oh man, when it's double Nightfall Rewards week, we're going to be farming the ever-loving hell out of Lake of Shadows now. Very excited. I hope they do it because it's a long season. This week is double Nightfall Rewards. I really hope they do it when Lake of Shadows is one of the ones up or when the catch-up node is up.
Yeah.
Because I just want to run it a million times for some plug ones. It's cool. I mean, I think if you, like, it's just like getting to the flawless chest in Trials. Like, if you're able to do that, if you're able to do the biggest challenge they give you in that particular mode, you should be getting adept shit.
Yeah.
You should be getting stuff that nobody else has.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of cross-play UI changes, just some bug fixes there. Definitely encourage people to look at those. Full patch notes will be available Tuesday around 10 a.m. Pacific. Some issues that will be resolved. Bombardiers detonations now deal damage to active supers. Crashes will no longer be caused by opening the appearance customization screen with faction armor equipped. And there are several Nightfall triumphs that are now fixed, as well as Wayfinder Compass's inventory. So the inventory at the station in the helm that the Awoken have will now rotate with a daily reset, which is cool because I'm still missing a mod inexplicably. I missed it the one time it's been for sale, and I haven't seen it again.
Of course.
And that's maddeningly frustrating. And that's the last thing I need for that particular triumph for the seal. So we'll see what happens there. There's some known issues. Definitely encourage you guys to go look at those if you're having some problems. I don't think there's anything like really major. And yeah, that is honestly about it for this week.
I mean, it's a small TWAB. I mean, there really isn't anything.
It's a very small TWAB. They were clear about it ahead of time, but that doesn't mean I couldn't get my hopes up just a little bit.
I do suggest you go read that interview with the artist though, because it's pretty good.
Definitely, it's really good. It's very clear he's really excited to be doing this. That he was asked to. Talks about growing up in Mexico a little bit and how his culture really played into how he went about the design.
I mean, if Bungie wants to contact me about my culture and growing up in Akron,
Corey, I don't think anybody wants the dog pound on a ghost.
You don't know that. You do not know that. There's no way you could possibly know that. Just saying, go Browns. Go Browns. Are your Seahawks winning right now there, Josh?
I don't know. I took the score away because I know I'm going to get upset if I look at it.
You're already upset. You might as well look. His face is visually. He's pre-disgusted. His face.
I mean, the Seahawks are up by 7 at halftime, so that's definitely not enough, but
no,
it's something.
Dude, what's up with your defense, man?
I don't know. Some weeks they look great, other weeks they're just terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel about the Browns offense sometimes.
Oh, of course it was the Metcalf. Okay, I'm fine with that. So, Seahawks game aside, because all I do is just scream at Pete Carroll when I watch the Seahawks now.
Just be thankful that your coach isn't Urban Meyer right now.
That's true. My coach has never been accused of grinding on young women in a bar with video evidence. He only faced a federal investigation into cheating, tampering, and sports betting when he was the coach at USC, and then we promptly hired him.
I mean, yeah.
That's all Pete Carroll's ever done.
I mean, I can't say that. Yeah. I mean, I would tell you about the Browns coaches, but they don't stay long enough to have any scandals.
I saw a stat the other day. I don't want to turn this into like Madden, but that Kevin Stefanski already has more wins than the last 4 Browns coaches combined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he's only won like 16 games or something.
Let's see, we won. What did we win last year? 10 games, 11 games last year. 11 games.
Something like that.
And we've won 3 this year, so 14?
Yeah.
15 games?
Yeah, you were like 14, 15 games, and he's already won more than like the last 3 or 4 coaches combined.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mind-blowing stat for me. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
It's like, man, times have not been kind to Cleveland. It's okay. You guys got LeBron. You guys got a championship out of him. It's all good.
I mean, yeah,
That
but
had to ease the pain a little bit.
I gotta tell you, a mediocre Browns team will overtake a great Cavs or Indians or Guardians team any day. I'm telling you.
It's LeBron. It's the chosen one, the hometown kid.
I know, and he left twice. How do you think we feel?
Listen, if after he won in what was 2017, he can leave whenever he wants to. Fuck it, you got one of the best championships of all time, down 3-1. You got a special called Believe Land made out of it. Okay,
It's true. We did.
It is one of my all-time favorite 30 for 30s. I love watching that. Like, I'm not a Cleveland fan. I definitely rooted for the Warriors because the Mavs beat LeBron in his first season on the Heat, and I've always loved it. I even cheered for the Spurs when they beat the Heat a couple of times. But man, once it came down, the call that Breen makes when he said blocked by James, when Iguodala is going to go in for the final dunk, and the Warriors never get the ball back, is just like one of those moments that seared into my brain forever. Like it's up there with the safety that we got on Peyton Manning to open Super Bowl 43 or 48, excuse me. It is up there with like the best sports moments of my life, and it wasn't even for somebody I was rooting for.
Yeah.
It's like the Mavs winning the championship is like my 1A, and me being in downtown Dallas when it happened. The Seahawks winning a championship, the first in franchise history. I literally ran out of the house down the street screaming at the top of my lungs. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm in suburban Dallas just running down the street screaming. And then it's like right below, like the next is like it's the James block.
Yeah.
Like that is just, oh my God. Now if Luka wins a championship or multiple championships, or Russ ever gets an MVP, we're gonna have to reorganize this list drastically.
I mean, I do miss my Dirk jersey.
Beating the Yankees to go to the first World Series in Rangers history was a pretty good moment too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Even if we just completely shit the bed in 2 back-to-back World Series, beating the Yankees to get there felt really good.
Yeah. I
digress.
I remember when the Indians went to the World Series and lost in 95 and 97. That was fun.
Depressing.
And then again in
I watched a coffee table get flipped over when we blew it 8-7 against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
David Freese is a name that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Forever.
But Corey, before we get into Lore Corner, even though it's a short week, I want to talk a little bit about the story.
Yes, let's talk about it.
And where it's kind of gone the last few weeks. So we addressed Crow getting told about who he was last week. And, this week we figure Mara's really upset about this. Mara is like downright pissed. I planned on reading from the Ripples book tonight while we were talking about this instead of saving that for a Lore Corner, but Bungie hasn't updated the API, so I can't even read it through the app or on Ishtar Collective. So that's a problem. I would physically have to open up the game and pull it up. So we're going to save that for a future one once we get page 8 as well. So we've already got 6 and 7. This is a story that's not quite unfolding the way I thought it was. It kind of accelerated. I thought for sure they were going to save the revelation for Crow until the end of the season, and that would be one of the mysteries going into the Witch Queen. Is, well, what is Crow going to do now? And now I think like we're having this time for him to brood. Like we talked about this last week, how the creatives on the game said, and the writers' room basically says, well, Crow was so popular in a way we weren't necessarily expecting that we had to figure out how to put him back in for later seasons. I don't think they planned to after Chosen based on the dialogue that we had.
Right.
Where he was being sent away by Zavala, and they kind of make a tongue-in-cheek reference to that. Weren't you sent away? And he's like very clearly been around the entire year.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. They clearly never gave him any status as a vendor in the helm. I wonder if that's going to change now with Spider being gone.
Yeah.
If he'll eventually take that role. But I think just the way it's unfolding, like Petra's characterization through all this, like we've seen in a few lore pieces, she has some regret over the actions that she took with the Guardian at the end of Forsaken. Like, should we really have killed Aldrin? Should we really have done it? Because I think she regrets now that she did it, because now he doesn't know who he is. He's not who he was. He's a completely different person. And her and Mara both know it's for the best, but she also knows it pains Mara to know that her brother is truly gone forever. In the encounter that Mara has with Savathun this week in the Ripples book, she is talking to Savathun's crystal, and she basically tells her, she goes, I'm a queen of mercy. I could have jettisoned your crystal into the sun any time that I pleased, but I'm a person of my man of my word, basically. Like, I don't renege on promises. And we all know that's false. We all know that Mara plans to kill Savathun as soon as that worm is separated from her. But it's how they talk to each other. Savathun she doesn't talk to you directly. It's not a booming voice. It's inside your mind, we find out. She's talking like almost telepathically to us. And she does it to Mara, and she's trying to get Mara to snap like Crow did, but Mara, she holds strong and is like, no. She actually attacks the crystal with some of her awoken powers. And I think this kind of like seals that Mara isn't going to die this season. I think we can safely cross her off that list. But I would say that, I mean,
we're
Osiris
still leading.
Is gone.
Yeah, I think Osiris is just dead.
I think Osiris is dead. I think he is deader than dead. If he's being Mad-Eye Moodied, I can see him being let out. And the minute he sees Saint, he's killed again. Because it's mentioned at the end of the dialogue this week when you complete Chapter 7.
It could almost be like a Gears to Dom Maria situation, right? Where like they pull Osiris out, and like she tricks them and them seeing like Osiris, but he's like really like damaged and like really dying. And then maybe she like kills him or forces Saint to kill him or something drastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Like, I think it's going to play out really emotionally. And I mean, like, Saint and Osiris have a very emotional backstory, that Bungie has established, and we read and that we see in games. And I'm very curious to see what they decide to do here, because I think this is a storyline you got to handle delicately, right? Like, I don't think you can kill Osiris off screen, but at the same time, I do think he's dead. And I do think that this probably leans further into the theory of Ikora is going to die during the events of the Witch Queen. Somebody is dying. Like, we know that much. It's just a matter of who. And I think to kill Saint or Crow, it's a waste.
Especially because like you spent a whole season like bringing Saint back,
right,
after he was already dead.
The whole issue with trials and everything else at that point.
Brother Vance is still out there somewhere.
Jesus Christ,
Brother Vance coming
got killed by his own self.
Nope, he's coming back. He's a guardian now.
Never. He was already a guardian.
Is he?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I actually don't remember. I genuinely don't remember. It's been so long since I read about Brother Vance that I genuinely do not remember.
He's coming back to run trials. Trials of Brother Vance. Trials of Brother Vance.
It's going to be... No, D1 Trials is back for good. I better not say that too loudly. Bungie might hear me. But yeah, I think that means like Ikora is definitely on the chopping block. With them vaulting the Tangled Shore, I think that sets Spider, and Spider's not coming to the tower or coming to the helm. I think that sets it up for Spider to be a dungeon boss eventually. Because he's been chased away from the shore. I'm curious to see how they vault the Tangled Shore. Is the darkness going to encroach on the shore now? Are we going to get another event right before the launch of Witch Queen, like we did with Beyond Light? Like that was kind of some speculation that was happening on Reddit earlier.
Right.
Like, what do you do? Does Spider get bold enough, like his brother was, to try and attack the city? Does he try and attack the tower? Does he go and align himself? Savathun, is he chilling in the throne world and he's the merchant for us to get the weapon crafting? I could see that happening and it would be really funny, but I do think that it's the lore is making it pretty clear we're gonna face off with him eventually, and
Yeah.
I do think it'll Mithrax and Crow against him.
Mm-hmm.
We talk all the time about how we want to see NPCs in these fights. I would love if they were just laying down like sniper fire on him
Right.
for us,
Right.
or like they were taking out ads while we're fighting our way to Spider. Like I want to fight him when he's in his like fucking hover chair. I want to like just I don't know. I want to get like a dead ghost gun and just unload it on him.
Mm.
There's so many cool things you can do. Like I wouldn't even be opposed to him being part of the loot dungeon that we're doing with Zur. Like he could tie into that really cool. What if he was the boss of that?
It'd be hilarious. And you just use Gjallarhorn to take him down.
What would you even do? Yeah, you just use Gjallarhorn to just wail on him.
I mean, it'd just be like Crota again, but funnier because it's Spider and not scary at all.
Spider's kind of fat too, which makes it even better.
Yeah. He's just floating there in his like
dude, he's got a cosmic beer belly going on. It's it's a little rough. It's rough times for my guy.
Yeah. Spider's like basically the Jabba the Hutt of the Destiny universe.
Pizza the Hut.
By the way, update on Brother Vance. Brother Vance is not a guardian. Brother Vance was a fanboy and the vendor on Mercury, obsessed with the mythical warlock Osiris and leader of his cult/fan club.
Jesus Christ.
That's what it says on the Destiny fandom.
My God. Okay. Well, anyway, so like all those asides, I guess, I think the way they've played this season out is it's interesting, but I'm less engaged. I think I'm less engaged week to week than I was with Chosen and Splicer, and it's not because we've gotten 3 seasons in a row like this now. Like this is, I absolutely agree with what Axios said last week, what the Games Radar piece said, what the story team was talking about, that this is a story that plays out like a television show. But the problem with that is when you're a TV show, you've got to let it play out over those 8 weeks. You can't sit here and keep holding stuff for the end. Like that can be like a bonus episode, but the resolution with Savathun's worm isn't going to come until after Christmas.
Right.
They're not going to do that till like January at this point. We're not doing it next week.
No.
If we do it next week, I will gladly eat my fucking words on this show on Thursday.
I mean, we've talked about it though. Like, there's probably gonna be some sort of like bigger epilogue style.
I do think there's going to be an epilogue style mission towards the end of this season, but again, like that's not going to be until the Dawning stuff is all over.
Right.
I think when you've got about 6 weeks to go until Witch Queen, they're going to want to drag people who sat out those events back in, kind of like they did with Arrivals. We had a big chunk of dead time, and then Nokris is in the Shattered Throne, or is in the Shattered Realm. Like we gotta go fight Nokris in the Ascendant Plane. Like, and that was really cool. That got us the last couple pieces of lore that we needed. That got us the last couple rewards to finish out the season, and then it all ended in the Traveler healing itself. I am very curious to see what the community event will be at the end of this year, because I do hope it's something cool. I swear to God, if it's the helm taking off, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to absolutely freak out if the helm takes off, which I think it should, and they should secretly vault the tower, but that's another discussion entirely.
They could. They could.
And God, I hope it happens. There's just so many things you can do here, and like, not that Season of the Lost hasn't been interesting to me, but like the weekly thing that we're doing is, we get some gossip from Savathun of her trying to manipulate us, but we already know how this turns out. We see a little bit of inner conflict with Crow, maybe like every other week, and the other weeks are Petra and Mara getting pissed that we're still hanging out with Savathun. And that's about it. Like, the radio messages, I think, have been way more consequential, and obviously the Ripples book that you get from listening to those messages. The Ager's Scepter quest was great for understanding Uldren and Mara's relationship. Hearing all the dialogue that he says when he's talking, reading the lore behind the actual gun. I just feel like it kind of feels lacking compared to theirs. And I know it's not. I know when it all comes together, it's going to be really good, but just 7 weeks in, and I'm like, this has been cool, but I'm definitely not as engaged as I was. Like, week 6 and 7 was Zavala's assassination attempt in Chosen. That was Proving Grounds. That was Crow secretly saving Zavala. In Splicer, that was, Lakshmi hatching her plot.
Right.
And I think it feels especially long now because normally we'd be almost 2/3 of the way through a season.
Right.
But instead, it's like, oh God, we've still got like 20 weeks to go.
I know. We have 5 months,
This
dude.
is-
October, November,
this is-
December, January, February.
Yeah. This is rough. We've got 20 weeks and a halo to get through before this happens.
It's true.
But I don't want to dwell on that too much. Obviously, I want to just wait and see. I want to see if there's going to be any smaller story beats that play out. I encourage you to go do this week's mission. If you do this week's mission, you get a really cool looking Queen's Wrath branded sparrow.
Sweet.
Really big fan of it. We're going to read the lore on that once more people have gotten it, and once Ripples fucking unlocks for me. We'll discuss that. But we're going to continue with our Saladin lore tonight.
Yeah, Saladin lore.
We're going to read from the plate armor and from the boots, because we do have the Forge's Pledge to read from next week, as well as the class item. So this is number 3 in the series. Some know the legend. We rose from the ashes of a dying world to save humanity from itself. Saladin remembers losing his connection to the light. He remembers thinking that the traveler must have discovered his most secret doubts, the darkest thoughts he shared with no one, not even his ghost. He remembers the strange sense of relief that had washed over him until his radio crackled to life just moments later. He remembers hearing a voice broadcast to the world that the last city had fallen to the Cabal, but he could not tell you whose voice it was, only that it wasn't Zavala. Saladin, his ghost had said, sounding like it spoke from the end of a very long, very wide tunnel. You have to move. Because Saladin stood unmoving, he remembers staring out the window of flurries of snow for what felt like a very long time, but could only have been a few minutes. He remembers tracing the outlines of neighboring peaks along glass with the edge of his knuckle. He remembers the act of remembering. Once upon a time, he taught their names to Zavala, as their names have been taught to him. Saladin, his ghost said again. Saladin remembers moving. He remembers clutching his radio and rallying survivors, those strong enough to make the journey to the Iron Temple. Saladin remembers all this and more whenever the Crow challenges him on his cowardice during the Red War. He wants to break the young Guardian's back to teach him a lesson about what it's like to feel helpless, but something stops him. He remembers hearing stories about the Crow's life on the shore before he arrived at the tower. It does not raise a hand against him. And number 4. Some know the legend. We crossed a burning world with sword in hand, bringing justice and blood. Saladin remembers the simple pleasure of sharing a meal with friends. He remembers Radagast hanging the deer upside down by its hind legs, and how swiftly Perrin used her knife to skin it. He remembers Yolder tending the fire with wood cut by her favorite axe, a mighty thing fashioned from steel and embellished with engravings of laughing wolves. It had been a gift from a blacksmith whose son Yolder effortlessly plucked out of the frozen river several winters before. Putting an arrow through its heart is the easiest part, she teased him. Now you get to sit back and watch the rest of us do the real work. Mm-hmm. Saladin remembers helping anyway, using Yolder's axe to section off a flat piece of juniper to smoke the meat. He remembers the sound and smell of bubbling fat and how the rich drippings had tasted when he soaked them in bread. He remembers Radagast asking him to sing the song taught to them by the people of the blacksmith's village, but agreeing only when Yolder and Perun promised to join in. Their voices rose like wolves in the night, and were so raw by morning that none of them could speak. Saladin remembers all this and more when Zavala tells him Amanda has taken the Crow out to drink in the city. He wonders what song they'll sing, if it's anything like the one he's heard everyone humming lately, even though he hasn't tried it himself. So, this just kind of continues on the path of, Saladin is really thinking back through his life. To me, these are the thoughts of a man who thinks he's going to die soon.
Yeah. That's what I keep coming back to every time we talk about Saladin. It's like, oh, well, he's just remembering his life. Well,
there are no less than 7 pieces of Saladin lore this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me if Saladin makes a sacrifice soon, if there is something that we don't know about with him yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he's going to be at least a part of, if not a big part of the seasonal quest line next year. We already know that Efreet is back there and can come back. We need resolution on the Fellwinter front and with Anna Bray, Rasputin, and all that. Like, you could easily have a season focused on the remainder of the Iron Lords.
Which would be cool, because like Rise of Iron, that story was really cool. You know how they were all locked in the Siva chamber or whatever, and then I would like to see a resolution to the Iron Lords for sure.
100%, I would love to see it. I think that there's still a lot to be done here, which I'm very, very excited to see how they do this. Like, Saladin's story is not one that's really told a lot in the lore. He's a pretty private guy, but we've been getting bits and pieces of it all year, and now it's just kind of like free-flowing, especially with the betrayal of not Cyrus. Of faux Cyrus, as we've been calling him here.
Faux Cyrus.
With his betrayal, I think there's still a lot left to be done, but it's, to me at least, it's clear that Saladin's part in this story is coming to an end. And it kind of harkens back to what he tells us in Rise of Iron, where he says, you're the first of the new Iron Lords. It reminds me, really, of a line that Obi-Wan Kenobi says in the old Star Wars canon that no longer exists now, thanks to Disney.
Thanks, Disney.
Thanks, Disney. That he tells Luke Skywalker when he's on Coruscant. It's the last time that Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force Ghost appears to him. He says that, he can no longer remain in this world. He's been tethered to it for too long. It's like 8 years after his death. And Luke is crushed by hearing this, but he goes, Luke, rejoice in the fact that you are not only the last of the old, but you are the first of the new as well. And it really feels like that's kind of what Saladin has told our Guardian in a lot of ways. Like, if you read the dialogue that we get when we complete his quest each season, it's been relevant to the season for the last couple of seasons. His distrust of Zavala's methods with Keitel, but he recognizes Zavala as the tower commander, and he'll still follow him in the battle. He'll still follow his commands, even if he disagrees with them. How he isn't sure how we can fight alongside the Fallen, but he hopes to learn from our example. And now we know he's the emissary. He's one of the emissaries to Keitel. And that's incredible that, this is a guy, like, we talk so much about Crow's journey and about Zavala accepting Crow and about how, Mithrax and Saint have come to work together. Very quietly, Saladin being named as the emissary to Keitel kind of shows that Zavala's not fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
He's sending somebody that he can trust. If things go astray, he can trust Saladin to put them in their place.
Yeah.
He is sending literally one of his most powerful soldiers, if not his most powerful soldier, to make sure that the peace is held.
Right.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
So, because it's a very tenuous peace, we're all aligning against the Black Fleet, but it's very clear humanity and the Elixni stand together. The Cabal, much less so, but they're near extinction at this point.
Right.
And Keitel would be crazy to think that she can stand up to the city anymore. Even though I'm sure she will. I'm sure we will eventually have to kill Keitel.
I'm
or
sure.
we'll have to deal with Callus when he returns. Maybe there's a whole storyline involving, a Saladin getting caught up in that, and that's the end of his story. A guy who's never really left the planet is now, going to meet with the Cabal on behalf of Zavala. If that doesn't show you don't trust the guy, I don't know what does. If that's not mending a fence, I don't know what is. So I look forward to reading the last piece with y'all guys next week with the on the class item and on Forge's Pledge, and just kind of like recapping everything that we've kind of learned about him over the course of this year. Because there's a lot there. There's the pieces this season. There's the Empty Vessel. There was a piece in he had seasonal lore in Chosen. In the letters from the front, he specifically has a piece in there. He's talking to us, kind of like guiding us through some of those battlegrounds. So, yeah,
man, Saladin is I don't know. I'll be sad if something happens to him, but it's gonna be cool when it does.
I think that's secretly one of the best strengths of the seasonal storytelling as it exists now, is how much time we get to spend with characters that we used to have to devote an entire expansion to.
Right.
And we always go back to this starting really with Season of Arrivals is when it started in earnest. Season of Arrivals, we had the banter between Drifter and Eris. A lot of our interactions were with Eris and Drifter all season. With both of them, Drifter with his Umbral machine, Eris with the weekly mission, the Tree on Io. And then you go into Hunt, and it's Crow, who is he's really Uldren, but back, and we never really interacted too much with Uldren outside of some cutscenes. But Spider, when was the last time we'd gone and spent a lot of time with Spider other than getting materials? Probably the Forsaken campaign, I would say.
Yeah.
You go into Chosen, and Zavala's taken some initiative in past seasons, but you get Amanda in there. You get Saladin in there. When, if ever, have they played into seasonal narratives?
I think the last time Amanda was even really involved, I would say, would be like
Red War.
Yeah, maybe.
And that was just because she dropped us off on Gaul's ship, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I would go as far back as like the Taken King when her and Cade, take Aerys' ship.
Mm-hmm.
With any importance.
Yeah, I mean, you have that, and Splicer. We continue to see Amanda stepping up in that. We continue to get bits and pieces of Saladin, but it really focuses a lot on Saint and Mithrax's rivalry and then friendship. By the end, he's willing to die for these people. He's willing to die for the Elixni. And Saint spent his entire life crusading against them up to this point. He, a whole season focused on him, who we haven't had any focus on since we rescued him, really.
Right.
He's just the Trials vendor. And, now he's playing into this season. He's out there. Him and Mithrax are basically, it's Bad Boys 4 out there in space. I love it.
Who's Mike Lowry?
Oh, man. See, I feel like Mithrax has to be Mike. And I feel like Saint is definitely Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Zavala is the reluctant captain.
Yeah.
But this season, it's so nice to not be focusing on anybody from the tower this season. This season it's Petra, it's Crow, it's Mara, it's characters we haven't seen in years. But Crow is still at the center of it. And I think that's what, we talked last season, Lakshmi coming into it was a huge surprise when we've never had the factions be a part of this. Now, granted, they were written out at the end because Lakshmi got brutally murdered, but still, progress is being made here.
It's true.
I really look forward to seeing how we develop these stories because I want to see what comes next with Anna and Elsie. I want to see what's next with Felwinter. I want there to be an excuse for Aphrodite to come back into the picture. I want a seasonal storyline with fucking Shax.
Right.
How have we not gotten this? If Lenny James is too busy with The Walking Dead, let me tell you, my friends, you can send that man a microphone and have him record his lines on set, and he'll do it. Just do it. Just have him bust out into Destiny dialogue while he's doing Walking Dead scenes instead. It might make for a better show.
It is the last season, right?
So they say.
Don't worry, there's a spinoff coming, I'm sure. Another one.
Corey, take us out of here.
Gosh. All right. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. You can email the show at towercasuals@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tower Casuals.
Wait.
Oh, no.
We had a question this week, and we almost got out of here without addressing it.
Well, you said get us out of here.
I did. I just remembered it. Hang on, I've got to get it pulled up. We had it sent. It was sent to the Tower Casuals Twitter at Tower Casuals.
Ooh.
On Twitter, and I wanted to address this. Oh, the Only Blad 3 messaged us and he says, "You guys listening to your newest episode? Good stuff. I like what you're doing. Glad you're doing it. Just wanted to tell you, I can't remember which podcast covered this, but the Summoner auto rifle was apparently found in the Zur loot pool for the season." Which that's the first tweet we got. I definitely want to address that. I've seen the same thing. I don't remember what show it was either. It may have been the Last Word pod. I don't remember though. But I have seen it talked about with some of the data miners on Reddit. I am curious to see if Summoner actually does get sold for Zur, or if they just, because we have Endgame weapons in that pool. We've seen it with some of the old Iron Banner stuff coming back. I just don't know if they will ever offer Trials weapons in there. I think there would be an absolute outcry if there was Trials weapons. But that leads into the question, how do you feel about this? And should we maybe also get the other weapons that aren't in the Trials loot pool? I honestly think it's not fair to the ones who have it already, but yet again, we know it's not going to be a god roll from Xur. Thanks, and keep up the good work.
Do we, though? Well, because Xur's had some god rolls.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I would say, number one, I do think that anything is within the realm of possibility at Xur now. With Xur selling legendary weapons, anything is doable. I think Xur only being there for 3-4 days out of the week definitely does make it feel like an event. It would make people go to Xur, I think. But Xur has definitely... Corey's right. Corey's right when he says that Xur has sold some god rolls. The main ingredient he sold a few weeks ago has terrorized me in Trials ever since. I'm so tired of getting killed by main ingredient.
That main ingredient's the first thing I've purchased from Xur in months.
That main ingredient was the third most used weapon in Trials behind Vex and Messenger.
Yeah.
Last weekend and the weekend before. So that thing's a monster. I will say this, though. I think Bungie wouldn't... I do not think Bungie would allow a god roll Trials weapon to be sold at Xur. Selling a Trials weapon like Summoner has been out for almost 2 years. In February or March, I guess beginning of March, it will have been 2 years since Summoner came into the loot pool. That is, of course, the Trials auto rifle. I said last week that I really want to see the return of Summoner, Scholar, the rocket launcher, which I never ever remember, and Astral Horizon. I want those brought back into the loot pool along with the original Trials armor. I do not think there is anything wrong with selling a Trials weapon, but I don't care if it's even a decent roll. I think having it there for the people who just want to say, I have this gun, I have it in my vault, etc., etc. I think the problem would come if you sell a god roll, and I would be one of the people upset at that point.
Yeah.
I do not think a god-rolled Iron Banner, Trials, or Nightfall weapon should ever be sold at Xur. That is stuff that you need to grind for. I'm sorry, even if it's 2 years down the road. Now, if it's something that's been removed from that respective loot pool, like if we get to a point in a year, which I'm sure we will, where Hungary has been rotated out, for example, and you want to put Firefly, Rapid Hit Firefly in there, I would be okay with that. Because it is not attainable any other way. It has been out for a while. But when it's something like Summoner, you could just easily say, oh, we're throwing it back in because there's such a limited number of weapons already in that pool. We have 6 weapons now. What's wrong with throwing 4 more in?
Right.
I think that at that point, if it is a god roll, I would personally be a little annoyed because I enjoy going in and grinding things out. I'm not going to lie. Trials, and I think Trials is I think it is in the easiest way it has ever been to go in and get loot. You can lose your way to those engrams now. You got to win your 20 rounds across the weekend, and then honestly, like, just don't even care about going flawless. Honestly, the best thing you can do is go get your Passage of Wealth and just sit there. Get extra for your 3rd, 5th, and 7th wins. And just milk that XP. Get those engrams. Go in on double XP weekends when they offer it for Trials.
Right.
Go nuts with it. Like, I was drowning in engrams. Like, I just kind of want to save some of them now to see if they bring any of those back with it being a super long season. If not, I'll be grabbing them next season. Right? Because, like, I've never gotten Scholar. I have 1 Summoner that's not that great. I'm still on the hunt for a God Roll Messenger. Like, I'm saving mine now for if I'm able to go Flawless to get some more Adept rolls, is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and I know that this isn't what's being said here by Blad, but I think as long as you're selling a weapon that is, one, it's not meta. So, like, no Igneous Hammer with, like, moving target rapid hit or something.
Right.
Or a moving target opening shot. Like, you're not doing something like that, or Messenger with Desperado on it. I think you're okay. Like, if Scholar popped up in there, I don't think anybody would bat a fucking eye. I think it's if things like Shayura's Wrath start showing up, which is good with basically any perk combination. Reed's Regret, which is good with most things that are not Hipfire Grip. I I don't think that there's a problem with selling a non-god roll of these weapons again for people who just want to say, I got it. But I would caution Bungie to be very careful. Maybe like one a season at absolute most. Because I agreed when this happened during the initial Trials launch, when they sold it, there was a Trials emote, there was a Trials finisher, and there were 3 exotic weapon skins for Trials that were in Eververse. And it rightfully caused a big outcry because I would have much rather earned that stuff. I still think there should be some weapon skins for exotics, especially for popular ones. I would love a trial skin for Dead Man's Tale, or for God, even give me alternate skins for the legendary weapons in there. I don't care. And there's so much you can do there. But if you want to take this stuff out the Xur, I would say that's okay. Just like I would say with the Iron Banner stuff, like with the Iron Banner stuff, have it be stuff maybe that's not currently in full. Like I don't think Bite of the Fox was currently. I don't know if that's currently in the pool or not. But that was the Iron Banner sniper that he sold about a month ago. Nobody batted an eye about that. We kind of like perked up. And we're like, huh, okay. Like I would kind of do the same thing if you were suddenly selling exclusive prophecy stuff or the prophecy armor was in there. Like if it's something that's been out for a couple of years, I don't see a huge problem with it, especially something that's not meta. There was once upon a time Summoner was the best auto rifle in the game. I don't think right now that's a huge problem.
Right.
But I think ultimately, and I think this is where Blad nails it, it comes down to the perk rolls on it, right? Like as long as it's not a god roll or a meta, or it's not a weapon that's currently in like the meta, even though I would say most weapons feel pretty good in PvP right now.
Right.
Most archetypes have something that can hit, or at least like most types of weapons have an archetype that is good.
Right.
Then cool. I think it would get people thinking about Summoner again, getting them using it. Summoner hasn't been in the loot pool since Beyond Light came out, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
At least since Season of the Chosen, when we got 3 new weapons put in.
Yeah.
So if you want to put it, like, I guess my final word is, if you want to put it in, cool. Just be super careful about the perks you put in there. And I think these are the types of things I would like to see them float to the community.
Right.
But don't just listen to what people on Reddit yell at you. Like, send some surveys out. Send some surveys to our inboxes occasionally. Like, I got one for Trials Labs, and I was more than happy to sit there and fill it out in detail.
I got one for Trials Labs, too.
Like, if you're going to ask me for my feedback, I'm going to give it.
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree, I would say, call some content creators, because, like, you don't want to offend too many people, but I think the vast majority of us, like, the vocal majority, or the non-vocal majority, would be very happy with this. I think it's a very extremely vocal minority that would throw a screaming hissy fit about this, no matter what the role is. You could put fucking celerity on that gun and they'd still get mad at you. That's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think there's any right answer, because I don't ever want to block people from being able to get stuff forever. But I do think, like, if you want to get the god rolls in something like, or in a Nightfall, or even Iron Banner, go grind for it. Go turn your tokens in. Go get enough tokens to be able to turn it. Same with the armor. Like the Trials armor is where I would get upset if that was ever accessible through Xur, because then that's rewarding you for not even trying.
Right.
I think that's where I get annoyed, is you didn't even go in and try to do it. Like, you can get 6 engrams without even blinking in Trials now, if you've never played before.
Right.
Nobody says you have to play the rest of the season, but you can do that. You can get some weapons on that track. Like, it has never been easier to get rewards in Trials. So, like, now had this happened last year or last season, I think all of us would have been frothing at the mouth going, oh God, please put it in there.
Right.
Now, with how easy it is for us with matchmaking, I'm a lot less sympathetic to things like that. Outside of the armor, which I do think the armor to a degree is still a bragging right, even though it's so much easier to get now, and it's not as much of a bragging right as it was. You want to look cool, and that's one of the better sets in the game, I think, for both Hunters and Warlocks.
Yeah. Not Titans.
So
it's real ugly.
I mean, that describes about 90% of Titan armor, I think.
90? That's generous. It's like
but Corey, do you have any thoughts on this before we actually roll out of here?
No, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Like, I think, if it's not meta and you watch the perks you put on, like, I think it's okay to put things that aren't in the loot pool right now. Like, but I just don't, some weapons are meant to be earned. So
I would rather see it reintroduce the trials loot pool first,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe put in there with like, I'm not saying like, oh, give them celerity and I don't know, think of some horrible perk you can put in column 3. But I also don't think that it should be like 4 times the charm and subsistence or something like, I don't know, subsistence. I don't know. I'm having problems thinking of bad auto rifle perks right now.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said. I really don't have anything to add to it, to be honest. I agree with everything you said. So.
All right, let's do it. Let's go.
All right, we're leaving now. Thank you everybody for watching and or listening to Tower Casuals. Follow us at Tower Casuals on all social media platforms. Email the show, towercasuals@gmail.com. Josh, where can we find you?
Twitter, at Josh_Finn, 2 N's.
Yeah. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram. And I think that's it. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you consume the show. And we will catch you next week. Goodbye, Guardians.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.